Forget dates. Hooking up is the date. As millennials, the hookup culture has surrounded us during our college years, completely changing how we form relationships. Apps were developed to make hooking up as easy as swiping right on your iPhone, and face-to-face conversations took a backseat to a screen. When the new norm became pretending to not know someone after you've had sex, and talking to someone isn't just a simple conversation anymore, I asked myself, how is our generation making sense of all this? How has technology and social media changed how we form relationships? What is really going through our minds, and are we truly happy with?
It just doesn't seem like it doesn't seem happy or fun or gratifying, fulfilling. It doesn't seem like it's worth it. So
You really don't know what's going to happen, or there's not really a status quo for the way things should be, because it's changing from our last, generation's culture.
The miscommunication is over the blurry lines of hooking up. Hooking up means, as like you asked previously, like, what does hooking up mean to you? Well, people think hooking up is so different between each people. And I think when you go into whatever you think is a hookup, those blurry lines end up having people getting confused and sometimes hurt.
With all this confusion, I decided to ask other college seniors to define common terms used in the hookup culture.
A slam piece is someone that you regularly are most likely having sex with. Yeah, slam, you're having sex. So yeah, but it's like there's the connotation of like it's pretty regular because there's like your slam piece. It's not a positive connotation usually, though. It's kind of like a little degrading.
It's someone that you go back to multiple times and it's kind of like your go-to person to have sex with.
Person that you just had sex with once. Probably aren't talking to them afterwards ever again.
A fuckboy is just an asshole. Like one of those guys that it's 2 a.m. and you're leaving the bar and you check your phone and you have a text asking what you're doing or do you want to come over, and then maybe you do and then you don't talk to them for another week until it's Saturday night and 2 a.m. again and you get the same text.
Netflix and chill is the way to say that you are hooking up with someone and probably going over to their house to hook up while Netflix is playing in the background, or you might not even watch Netflix, or you'll watch one episode and then you'll hook up.
Earlier stages of having a thing, like kind of dating, or maybe hooked up like before 3 times, around there.
It's like the getting to know you stage.
How do you think technology has affected dating in our generation?
Obviously the dating apps like Tinder and Bumble and all those, but also just the constant availability of the phone, because if you text somebody and they don't respond within an hour, 2 hours, it's questionable because you know that everybody's on their phone all the time.
Well, yeah, that's probably another thing that's changed from our generation versus like years before. Like you had to call a person on the phone. Like you didn't just get to easily text. And there's so many things that could be misconstrued when you're texting and you don't know the tone of someone's voice and things get misinterpreted, so.
You can misread text messages so much because there's a lack of emotion. And I know from like my past relationships, we would get into so many fights because like I would say something and he would totally think it was the opposite of what I was trying to say.
The whole concept of ghosting or whatever, when you text and no response and text and no response and text and no response. I feel like technology in some ways with texting has allowed people to kind of do that. Like you're allowed to just not respond and that's the end. Whereas with calling, it was almost more, you had more of an obligation to do it and not hide behind your phone.
I just recently found out that there is an app called Bumble, and that's interesting because I think it's like, I don't know, I'd see myself as more traditional. Like I like the guy to pursue me, ask me on a date, and Bumble, it's like you like each other, and whenever you match, the girl has 24 hours to message you, the boy, or else that match will like go away forever. So it's the girl's responsibility to like be forward. And like, and the thing is, I don't know, basically from my experiences, like my friends that are like on Bumble, it's not, I mean, I think that some people take those apps seriously, but a lot of it is very like, oh, she's hot, oh, he's hot, and we're gonna meet up and we're gonna hook up. And then you know, maybe see where it goes, maybe hook up for a few more weeks and then move on to the next one.
Snapchat is good. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about it. Like, I use it all the time. But I do think it can cause definite problems in relationships, like in regards to like, oh, like you send a nude to someone else that's not your boyfriend and everything, and then that starts something up, you know, just because you think it's going to be there for 5 seconds, you still did it, and it's still going to have that after like impact on your relationship.
How do you think that dating has changed from our parents' generation to our generation?
Well, I mean, it's definitely less formal, I think, and it's a lot less monogamous. I think it's more casual lately. The way that it was for our parents, I think it was like the guy would really work to like court the woman and be a lot more respectful, or at least just put in more effort, I feel like. But also, not to say that it's the guy's fault. I think that we women have kind of like lowered our expectations for how we like expect a man to treat us. So it kind of goes both ways, but it's definitely kind of taken a turn for the worse, I'd say.
A lot of times nowadays people are wanting like the sexual things to progress a lot faster. Like, I have this one friend that basically told me that whenever he takes a girl on a date, he automatically expects like something like sex or something close to it, and I think that definitely like wasn't how it was, not even like during our parents' generation.
I think because of the new norm, we find things like when you see engagement photos online, or you're talking to your friend and they say they actually went on a date, or a guy texting them good morning or anything like that, we're so shocked by it, and we think that these guys are so amazing because the norm has become not expecting that stuff, not expecting guys to be nice or open a door or send good night or good morning text or anything. I mean, now you could be talking to somebody, but they could be talking to multiple people. And that's become normal. Almost any time I start talking to somebody, I assume that they're talking to somebody else as well.
My freshman and sophomore year, their girls always be like, you have to play like the game with the guys. And I'm like, what is this game like that we're playing? Like, they're like, well, you can't admit how you're feeling and everything. And I'm like, what is that doing? And like, it makes no sense. Like, if you like someone, like, you should be able to open up.
You want to play hard to get, and you want to be in the position where you're comfortable and not throwing yourself out there. Otherwise, I think you have to try and play it safe because people are scared of being hurt.
The hookup culture allows you to be as intimate as you possibly can physically without the emotional intimacy, without the connection with a person.
When you're being like intimate with someone, it's natural to like gain feelings for them, and so you begin to emotionally like give yourself to someone, because yes, maybe you're just going over to Netflix and chill, but once you've like, you know, you're done hooking up, like usually you'll lie there. It's not like you bail right after. Like, you have time to like sit and talk and get to know the person to a certain extent. And so emotionally that kind of grows, but it's like, when do you cross that line? Like, is this person just going to always view you as a slam piece? So just, oh, she just comes over and we hook up and then she leaves. Like, because he's not taking you on a date and he's not showing you off to his friends. Like, this is my girl. It's just like, this is my girl when she's in my room late at night. And so I think that emotionally is damaging to a lot of people, because they feel like they're shunned, or that if they want something more from it and this guy or this girl is not willing to give it to them, then they're left just giving themselves physically and trying to get more emotionally, but you're not getting it emotionally. You're just getting this like physical connection, and that's not healthy, because you can't expect to get an emotional benefit from someone who's not willing to return it.
That's very vulnerable for people. And for myself, like, I know I'm vulnerable, like, there, like, I don't want to get hurt. Like, who does? Like, it sucks. You're putting yourself out there. I have personally, like, where I just ended up getting hurt because I ended up having feelings, and then, like, ended up admitting that to the other person, and the other person was like, wasn't it saying it that way?
I even found myself talking to a boy for 4 or 5 months and then realizing almost 4 months into it, we've never gone on a date. Or we've never gone out to a restaurant and gotten food or done anything really other than go to the bars, hang out at each other's houses. That's really it. And I thought that was totally normal because that is normal. That's what's considered normal here.
It's like, the who cares less. It's like you're safer because you care less. I think that's awful because, yeah, you care less, but don't you want something strong? Don't you want those feelings, those intense emotions? So, I don't know. I don't agree with that, but I know that's what a lot of people do to guard themselves and not get hurt and they combat those feelings of vulnerability by trying not to care, but you start to care anyway.
Everyone grows up in college, and I think that whenever you do hook up with people, you realize like what you want and what you don't want, and you realize why, at least I did, I realized like why the hookup culture wasn't the good thing for me. And I mean, if you like it, then more power to you, but I'd say it definitely taught me a lot.
I don't know, I guess if I had a little sister, little brother, anybody that was coming into college, I would just say to be nice, and all of us are humans and we all have feelings, and even though sometimes it doesn't seem like it, like everybody gets hurt.
Be a nice guy. Or not. People like nice guys. Nice guys don't always finish last. It's not always true.
Do not settle. It's so annoying when girls are just like, think that they have to expect less from guys. Hold yourself to a standard. You just have to know that you're worth it and that you will find someone who treats you well. Don't think that just because he's, tells you you're pretty once after you guys have hooked up or something like that. Like, that's not him caring about you. Him taking you on dates is him showing that he actually likes you. Him introducing you to his friends is that he likes you. Don't think that just because he calls you at maybe 12 instead of 2 in the morning, that's special. Be honest and have those conversations with the guy or the girl if you like them. Because, yeah, it could be awkward. You could get rejected. But that's so much better than feeling led on and having that uncertainty and always questioning it. Because at the end of the day, even if you got rejected, wouldn't you rather be rejected in that moment than continuing it and then feeling, getting stronger feelings and liking someone more and more and then just to get crushed later down the road? That would be my advice, is just to always be open. Don't have that ambiguity. Don't have that uncertainty. Just find out.
So are we happy? We're conditioned to believe whoever cares less has more power in the relationship. But how powerful can this actually be if the purpose of any relationship is to care and be cared for? College is a time to find ourselves, so don't hold back. Hook up, don't hook up, date, Netflix and chill, it's your choice. But by simply being honest with one another, the confusion goes away. Caring for someone else and showing it is not weak, contrary to what others might say. At the heart of it all, we're all human with a natural desire for connection.